David Davis is a big part of the opposition in Victoria, and he, like many, has questions about Daniel Andrews and his trip to China. Of course, if you ask Daniel Andrews, it was an amazing trip, and here's the proof, because he said it.
Yes, I stand by the trip. It was a very important opportunity to engage with partners, both long-standing partners, but also some newer friends in terms of Sichuan province. I stand by each of the trips I've made overseas during my time as leader of my party and leader of our state.
David joins us now from Melbourne. We know how this goes, which is he will say nothing, apart from it was amazing, don't ask me any more questions. If you ask any more questions, you're a Chinaphobe, and of course that's what all you evil Liberals are about. But you think there's plenty of questions.
There are plenty of questions, and the truth of the matter is trade is incredibly important, and leaders should go to other countries to spruik our trade and to push our trade. And we in no way resile from that. We actually support trips to China. But he slipped out of the country furtively. He didn't take the press with him. All he appears to have come back with, it seems, is just a few committees to look at things and try and push a few things. He didn't take the press with him, and you've got to ask why he didn't take the press with him. I noticed that WA is going to China, the Premier there, and the Queensland Premier has flagged a trip to China too, and both of them will be taking the press. Now, you know, what is there to hide? What is there that they need to be secretive about? Why can't he be open? It's taxpayers' money. Allegedly, he's doing it for the purposes of assisting taxpayers and assisting our businesses. Of course, you've got to go and, you know, push your trade hard, but you've got to do it openly, honestly, and you've got to be accountable and transparent about it. And that's why we're pushing for this inquiry, Paul. We think there needs to be an inquiry. We think we need a short, sharp inquiry to get to the bottom of what has gone on here. And why the secrecy?
Given the makeup of the crossbench in the upper house, you're going to have to get the Greens, legalise cannabis and a whole bunch of other ones to look into it. Do they look like they're going to do anything but favours for this government, though? Look,
I think we've got to put our case, not resile from what's important here. Our job is to put the case. We've got to win some and lose some. But the truth of the matter is, you know, there are a number who, you know, are very close to the government, and some would prefer the government to get away with things, prefer not to examine difficult matters and let the government slide through. Now, that's a matter for them. All we can do is bowl up the challenges for them, bowl up things that are in the community's interest. It is in the community's interest to understand what he's done at this trip and to understand the value for taxpayers or otherwise. That's fair enough. You know, did he ask about some of the big build issues when he was over there? You know, we've got these big projects that are careering out of control financially, many being built by Chinese-controlled companies. You know, what is the situation with those? Did he talk about some of the human rights issues in China? You know, there's a Victorian journalist who's been held for 2 years. Now, all those are legitimate things. Did he take those steps? You know, it appears he didn't. It appears he had a series of, you know, relatively secretive meetings. And why wouldn't you take the press? As some people have pointed out, the Chinese, you know, country doesn't have a free press. So anything that would come out would have to come out from our press.
Well, this is the whole thing that I find a bit bizarre, is that literally somebody, I think the writing in The Guardian last week was suggesting, oh, look, you know, the downside of bringing the Australian press is they're just going to talk about domestic garbage all the time and it's a bit of a distraction. The whole point is that when you are on the taxpayer's dollar, you're flying there on the taxpayer's dollar, you're doing the taxpayer's business. Okay, the media's not going to sit with you inside every single meeting, but the idea that you say, excuse me, guys, I'm just buggering off for a week, I'll get back to you and tell you it's amazing, is the exact opposite, it's the antithesis of the open system that you would think all the media, left, right and centre, would be arguing for.
You would think so. And down here in Victoria, the media has been very strong on this. The whole media really has just said, what on earth is going on here? Why on earth won't you be taking some representatives of the media so that we can actually see what's going on there? Again, I don't in any way resile from the need to go to China, to spruik our case, to put our business, why didn't, Andrews said, oh, well, we're going to build up our education position. But he didn't take any vice-chancellors. He didn't take any experts on tertiary education. Why wouldn't you take a vice-chancellor or two? Why wouldn't you take some experts on tertiary ed? And that seems to me to be the real question. If it's really about building our business, if it's really about building our financial position, and I think it should be, you would take the specialist people. You would take the people who can actually help you sell the case.
The news this evening is that the federal government is going to ban TikTok from all federal government devices. This was supposedly what was going to happen in Victoria, but apparently somebody got out ahead of their skis and the government's not doing that now.
Well, DECA, the Department of Environment and Climate Change and Energy, it was going to ban TikTok from the 1st of February. It was coming in with a big hit. They've got 69 people who've got devices, our FOI shows, and their IT experts had looked at this closely and they said, no, these need to be banned. It's just not in the interests of the Victorian government to have these devices linked with TikTok. Now, Andrews and the Secretary of the Department came in like a ton of bricks and overruled that. But now, Andrews is going to have to face the fact that the federal government, it appears, on the reports that are coming into the paper tomorrow, it appears that the federal government is going to ban TikTok on government and probably parliamentary devices as well. And that will then lead, we think, to Andrews having to step back from his other position. So, I say on these things, the experts should be leading the way. The IT experts that tell us whether there's a risk. And that's the way it should be looked at. It shouldn't be looked at in an ideological way. It should be looked at through the technical information from the experts. And that's where we were in January. And we were going to ban the ones on a number of public sector linked devices. But Andrews and the Secretary of the Department overruled that.